Take a look at these wild boars traversing the landscape. It's a pretty classic image, right? Just a highly recognizable, almost iconic example of animals making their way through the world. But what actually happens when animals like these are picked up and moved by humans to entirely new environments? Well, they trigger massive, sometimes completely irreversible environmental changes. Literally, they become invaders. Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're unpacking a monumental, truly authoritative global report from IPBES. That's the Intergovernmental Science Policy Platform on Biodiversity and Ecosystem Services. This massive assessment breaks down exactly how biological invasions are fundamentally altering our planet, our economies, and, yep, even our own health. I am super excited to guide you through this fascinating, if slightly alarming, data. So, here's our roadmap for today. Number 1, what are invasive species? Number 2, the biological invasion process. Number 3, the global threat. And finally, number 4, the true costs. Let's jump right in. Section 1, what are invasive species? First things first, we need to talk about alien species. According to the report, the absolutely crucial ingredient for a species to earn this title is human activity. An alien species is any plant, animal, or microorganism whose presence in a region is strictly due to intentional or unintentional human transport across natural boundaries. So we aren't talking about natural migration patterns here. We're talking about us moving them, whether by accident or on purpose, past barriers they definitely couldn't have crossed on their own. But here's the really critical distinction. Not all alien species are invasive. Invasive alien species are a very specific subset of those introduced organisms. These are the ones that don't just survive. They establish themselves, they multiply, they spread like wildfire, and crucially, they cause measurable negative impacts on biodiversity, local ecosystems, and native species. Okay, Section 2, the biological invasion process. So how does this actually happen? The assessment outlines a really clear 4-step process for biological invasions. Step 1 is transport. That's when the species is moved by human activities beyond its natural borders. Step 2 is introduction, the actual arrival at the new location. But the threat really locks in during Step 3, establishment. This is the emergence of a viable, self-sustaining population. And finally, Step 4 is spread, the biological dispersal into entirely new regions. Let's bring it back to our wild boars just to re-anchor this visually. For an invasion to truly take hold and hit those critical establishment and spread phases, the species has to build a viable, self-sustaining population in their new home. They've got to breed, thrive, and expand entirely without our help. Once they cross that threshold, the biological invasion is officially underway. Moving on to Section 3, the global threat. Let's look at the numbers. 37,000. That is the staggering number of established alien species that have been introduced globally by human activities. And this isn't just isolated to one unlucky corner of the map. This spans across literally all regions and biomes on Earth. We have completely reshuffled the biological deck here. And the situation is incredibly urgent. Get this. Roughly 200 new alien species are being recorded every single year. The assessment stresses that this is a completely unprecedented rate of introduction. Basically, modern human travel and global trade have created a massive superhighway for these organisms. But remember our definition of invasive from earlier? Well, out of those 37,000 established species, over 3,500 are officially classified as invasive alien species. That means for over 3,500 species, we have hard, documented proof that they are causing severe, negative impacts on our global ecosystems. And the impact of those 3,500 species is absolutely devastating. Invasive alien species have contributed to a shocking 60% of all recorded global plant and animal extinctions. Just let that sink in for a second. Plus, the report notes that they act as the sole primary driver for 16% of those extinctions. They are literally pushing native life off the map. This creates what scientists call biotic homogenization, which is basically where ecosystems around the world start looking exactly the same because all the unique local life has been wiped out. And some ecosystems are way more vulnerable than others. The data shows that a whopping 90% of the global extinctions, driven primarily by these invaders, occurred on islands. It makes sense, right? Islands are isolated. Their native wildlife evolved over millions of years without any defenses against these completely foreign predators and competitors. So when an invasive species shows up, the results are swift and pretty catastrophic. Which brings us to our final part, Section 4, the true costs. The financial burden we're dealing with here is astronomical. The annual global financial cost of biological invasions was estimated to exceed $423 billion in the year 2019 alone. That is a massive, gaping drain on the global economy, happening year after year. But the real story is how that money is actually being spent. The report draws a stark, kind of frustrating contrast. A massive 92% of this financial burden is entirely reactionary. It's money spent on repairing the negative impacts and damages already caused by these species. A mere 8% of that $423 billion is actually invested in proactive management to stop or control them in the first place. We're basically just paying for the wreckage, not the prevention. And beyond just the dollars and cents, these species deeply threaten human life and our quality of life. The report notes that about 16% of invasive species actively have negative impacts on nature's contributions to people. The number one most frequently reported impact globally, making up over 66% of cited cases, is the reduction of our food security. They destroy crops. They outcompete local fisheries. They also transmit diseases to humans. They threaten our water security by altering ecosystem properties, and they severely disrupt local livelihoods. Whatever minor benefits a few of these species might offer, they simply do not outweigh these massive negative impacts. So we end with a pretty crucial question. Can we stop the invasion? The IPBES assessment is clear. If we do nothing, these numbers, the costs, the extinctions, the rate of introductions, they are all predicted to rise. However, with sufficient resources and political will, proactive management actually works. We absolutely have the tools to protect our ecosystems and our economies. I guess the only question left is, are we ready to make that 8% proactive investment the new 92%?